totally okay. This is where we find ourselves with today's event. We do have a top eight, potentially a lot of interesting characters sneaking their way in there.
So Peyton navigates this.
I'll be right back.
See if we see those same very aggressive dominates that are very risky, but sometimes they do pay off. We'll see how that gets utilized or not utilized this game. Are those Ron Weasley sleeves? I can't quite tell from here. Would make sense with the whole wizard thing. So I've seen both these players on stream today. And interesting that it looks like Brayden is once again opting for the Crown of Providence rather than Cornet's Peak, which tacitly reduces I would say the strength of a channel like Frigid, because then it's hard to you can't keep it alive on a one card hand because pitching it out, playing it, and then blocking on the turn where it's played out usually takes quite a few cards. So not having the one card to keep it alive probably reduces the effect of it. But Peyton's got a good opener here. He's got something to dominate, and there's little Brayden can do about it this early in the game. We're definitely not going to see a Storm Strider's activation. Oh, we're just dominating. We're dominating. I'm assuming a blue buckling blow here. Wait, is it a blue? This might be a red buckling blow. Interesting. Yeah, because we blocked. Yeah, so that was a red buckling blow. I guess Peyton's fully on the red buckling blow and buckle tech. So if that had gone through, interestingly enough, that would have been a -1 on Storm Striders, presumably, and then Buckle would have come out next turn to try to destroy them. Unfortunately, that's not what ended up happening. So it may be that Peyton's just got a very awkward card in the arsenal there, because I believe it was flashed when it was pitched for, but I may be off base. But Finals Fighting Spirit, and we're developing an Amulet of Ice. Great opening turn off of Brayden there. Peyton now just swinging the hammer for 4. Possibly more depending on what the Iyslander response is here. As we mentioned in the last game, as Iyslander in this non-critical scenario, you probably just want to, if you are going to do any ice-related shenanigans, wait until after the attack resolves. But we're not going to see any of that. We're just going to play an easy sink below, cover that efficient damage. And we're seeing a Sigil coming out from Peyton here, a fantastic card in this matchup. It helps cover a lot of that split damage. It pops Frostbites if the game comes to the point where it is critical to do so off of Ice Eternals and whatnot.
Yeah, I think we've seen this matchup a fair bit of time, namely just before this one. So I think the game plan is still the same, but Bravo starting with a ton of health. We're going to see the quick card discard here. Both Brayden and Peyton are 4-0 moving into this match here as well.
Good for them. So that guarantees we'll be seeing both of them in the top 8.
Mm-hmm.
And presumably our winner here will also be our top seed as well. Unless there's been some shenanigans elsewhere. But I don't think that should happen on 32 people.
Yep, and
So we're
there's been
revealing a
player
Frost Head.
drops.
True. So we're revealing a Frost Hex. Presumably that's going to be used to pitch for Waning Moon, because that's not something you really want in your arsenal. At least not at the speed that the Bravo matchup usually goes. Yeah, so it's going to be Waning Moon for 2 more. Oh, and just like that, the life totals are equal. Which, as we know, always favors a wizard. Wow, the immediate usage of the Amulet of Ice. Brayden is playing a very aggressive tempo game here. He thinks Peyton indicated that, maybe we want to keep this hand. Yeah, there goes the pummel that presumably Peyton was going to play out.
Big swings this turn.
Now we're ticking Tunic.
Again, we got a Command and Conquer for 6 with no intention of
Yeah,
playing anything else. So
that pummel would have been great in this scenario, because you do have the Tunic. Although that ice card would have probably stopped it, so maybe not as ideal, but you'd rather have it than not.
well, Pommel's only cost. Well, he'd have to have another card in addition to this. Perhaps if the Pommel was in the arsenal.
Yeah. The issue is paying through the Frostbite, right? It makes it
Yeah.
cost 3, so you can't do the classic pitch a blue, use the 1 floating plus the Tunic.
Yep.
But yeah, 6 damage here is 6 damage. We've seen the Waning Moon swing back. But Brayden's happy on a 4-card hand because he did draw off of that Polar Blast. So, you do block 3, swing a big attack, arsenal something?
And looks like he's blocking with, what do we got here?
Yeah. Because you're not blocking with 2 cards and then using Coronet's Peak, because we don't have that. We've got the Crown of Providence over there, it looks like.
I'm guessing that's like one of those matchups where you're having a hand advantage prior to
Yeah.
your opponent's turn is more impactful. So the one, and he has a leftover from the pitch for this, which means he's actually not going to. Oh, never mind. He absolutely will be shooting some ice at him, or shooting some magic at him.
Okay,
Is
so
he not?
we're full blocking it. We're getting.
Well, he had some pitch left, didn't he? He pitched 2.
He used Waning Moon immediately after
Oh,
the
got
Polar
it.
Blast.
You got it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So that the once per turn had already been done there. But yeah, tick up Tunic Arsenal is. I mean, as an Iyslander, it's never a bad play because your arsenal is worth so much more than anybody else's. But you'd rather be doing a bit. So here, Peyton does have enough cards to play out that buckle out of the arsenal, even though it's pretty lackluster. So it's 7 dominate, which is something, but it's not necessarily worth 3 and playing a card. So there you go. We're covering the 7 perfectly.
Great
And then
use of
Peyton,
great timing for Sink Below as well.
yep. But I think Brayden knew that card had been there that whole time, because I think at the very beginning, Peyton flashed it by pitching it and then going, oops, wait, and then swapped it out with, I believe, a Showtime, and then arsenaled it.
Yeah, like I
So,
was saying before, there's a lot of hand card flashing that's happened at the event here, where players are like, "Oh, I didn't mean to play this card. I'll take the pitch back. I meant to do this." Like that's giving up information, and the players I've seen play very solidly, they are not flashing their hands at all. You have no idea what's in the arsenal. Like you're keeping your hidden zones, the information of your hidden zones hidden.
oh, absolutely, Fab it's definitely a game of inches, right? Everybody gets 4 cards each turn. It's who can really make the most of it in most scenarios. And here we are. I think this is a zealous belting play. So again, it's one of those medium risk plays that you can make as a Bravo, because you really are reliant on that go again, because the value on this turn comes out of the hammer swing afterwards, not on the zealous itself. But this is what you want, though, because you can play it through a frostbite. You just can't play it through any disruption beyond. So we've got the Waning Moon. Are we representing a pummel here? No, because Cold Snap would have frozen the arsenal.
Blocking with the. You know what? There's been some deck profiles I've seen, or decks lists I've seen with absolutely no brain freeze, whereas today, like, there hasn't been a deck I haven't seen a brain freeze pitched into. So it's interesting to sort of whatever area of the country that you're playing in, you're seeing very strong swings into different types of deck archetypes.
Yeah, I think if you think you're going to be mostly playing against Icelanders and Oldhams, Brain Freeze loses a lot of its value. Um, where it really just becomes that empty zero ice fuse that triggers Amulet of Ice and Insidious Chill, whereas against, Fies and Briars, you're almost guaranteed to go card for card and then add on the Disruption and then play the Waning Moon. Whereas it doesn't get that same value in these options. So some Iyslander decks cut it into matchups like this where they're really not running many zero costs, whereas others just keep it in because, it's a blue block 3. And in the worst case, that's still a good resource card, right?
Hmm.
So it depends on what respect you're giving to which matchups and where you're really selling your sideboard space. So we're pitching, walking out the Aether Ice Vein. Now on Peyton's turn, we've still got 3 cards, which is the best place to be after your opponent plays an Ice Vein. We're just coming in with the hammer, so we're definitely representing a pummel here. It's coming through probably regardless of the disruption Brayden offers, and it's still offering enough spare pitch to be able to um, block out the arcane if that is coming through the waning moon. But if you're Brayden, you may not be incentivized for that. Oh, interesting. We're pitching through and we're playing a sigil.
Wow. Wow.
Which also leaves. Oh wait, yeah, that's a sigil. Which also leaves 2 floating because we paid through the frostbite. So now this hammer has, I believe, been bumped up to 6, which is one of those things of, you know, you're you're not turning off the pummel, so at best maybe you're creating 1 extra, but by
Oh,
giving them something extra to pitch to, if it's anything other than a pummel, you're giving them the free +2.
I guess we're gonna
Um,
see a quick discard of that crippling crush here.
yeah. So we're another Aether Ice Vein. This one could be backed up by that Amulet of Ice. We'll see.
He may just choose to take 2. Okay, over pitching. Oh, he's keeping it. He's keeping the cards.
Yeah, so
He
we
wants his
paid
cards.
2, we blocked a little bit, and we're triggering Amulet of Ice. Can we... Tunic's not up, otherwise that would have been a great thing to use here.
Yeah, and he pitches. Yeah. Okay, so
Yeah,
at
and
least
there's the crippling.
he's pitch stacking the crippling if/when did we get there?
I think these players have demonstrated that they're okay taking a lot of damage back and forth. I would be surprised if we get back to that crippling, but it might be possible because Brayden is using those Amulets of Ice very aggressively, right? I don't think either one has lasted on the board for more than a full turn cycle.
It could also be that he's just getting
Uh,
the fuses early enough.
yeah, and that was a CNC out of Arsenal, so that allows us to block 1 arcane while still threatening 6 damage, which is fine, right? It's where you want to be because the alternative would be just swing the hammer for 4 and guaranteed take 3, right? It's a losing play for you, while Brayden gets to draw a card off the effect of Polar Blast.
Hmm. But he didn't pitch for the wand, or did he? Did I
No,
miss this?
no,
No.
he did. So he pitched a blue for Polar Blast. So Polar Blast cost 1, and the wand, the 2 extra that the wand is, you basically get for free, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And you draw the card off of Polar Blast, which is always very nice.
He didn't block either, and we got Wounding Bull coming in now.
And Wounded Bull, not a fuse card, so you don't get the information of what they're about to arsenal. But Peyton likes his hand, and there's only so much disruption that can be offered here. So at this point, Tunic's up to 3. If you're a gambling person, you could try for a rouse, you could try for a dominated crippling.
There's
So
a
we're going
rouse.
for a rouse.
I'm surprised these Bravos. I guess that's why. I mean, they could aggressively. You know, I'm surprised they don't, in response to the ice cards coming in, use their tunic counter so they can keep their resources. But I mean,
It it depends. It usually shakes out the same way because you either use your tunic counter now to then punch through the frostbite when you pitch your next blue, or you pitch your blue to activate tunic and it gets through the frostbite the same way. By delaying that tunic counter activation, you are denying them a little bit of information. Like, it's so rare. In this instance, like, okay, you've revealed your full hand off of rouse, it functionally makes a little difference. But there are some corner cases where it might matter. So it looks like we're pitching the buckling blow in order to block some arcane damage from Emerata's Scolding. Waning Moon is coming in. We're taking that 3 because we want to keep this blue to follow up with the hammer. But Peyton's very low on life. And we know there's no arsenal. There's no sigil in that arsenal either. Possibly equaling it up with this hammer swing. There we go. So we're even on life now. Brayden's got 2 cards. I'm guessing it's going to be, some kind of big attack.
interesting having a
Maybe a
zealous.
Wounded Bull.
Uh,
Or maybe it's the last Amulet of Ice, and then you arsenal the Disruptive Ice card.
Interesting. He had a rouse turn into zealous, or zealous into a rouse turn just as of late. Another wounded bull. Another. Wow,
Yeah, it
these
is.
guys have such little health.
Only coming in for 7. Yeah, but when you've got little health,
You gotta make
it
big
always favors the
damage.
wizard on low health, right?
Ooh, he could block this. It
We're blocking
doesn't get
6.
that one
We're taking
damage.
1.
One, and then he could sigil. Nope, no sigil.
No, if you have, does he have a sigil in hand? I couldn't
Yeah,
quite see.
he
If
does.
he does, you're definitely, yeah, you're swinging the hammer for, you're arsenaling the sigil, right? You want to keep that sigil as a surprise for when they do try to crack their storm striders, which is
Oh, and they're
relatively
calculating
soon.
damage. Okay, I got you. I got you. Yep.
Absolutely. So we're seeing the Crown of Providence here.
He's ending his turn with
Brayden's.
no arsenal. Ooh, this is a good opportunity for Peyton to really pull this match ahead for himself. Or it
Yeah,
could have been if he
kind
had the
of,
hand.
but he's only got 2 cards, right? So I mean, he could have, the alternative would be go down to 4 off of Wounded Bull if you want to keep 4 cards. That's, if you do
Dangerous.
that, it doesn't matter what your 4-card hand you're swinging back with is. You're going to be eating Storm Striders regardless. And yeah, here's an Ice Vein fused with a Frosting. I'm betting that Frosting isn't making it to Arsenal. I feel like it's getting pitched for just a little bit of extra arcane damage this turn. But we've seen one Emerata Scolding get played. We've seen one get pitched. I don't know if we've seen the third. Maybe we saw it earlier in the game and I've lost track of it. But, you know, if you can account for all 3 Emerata Scoldings, it makes your math a little bit easier as Bravo. Yeah, there we go. Presumably we're going to use the floating resources to block out that waning moon damage. And again, it's a 2-card hand again, but now Brayden has both players actually have the arsenal. So it's just going to be another hammer for 4, which is, it's hard to do anything else as Bravo at this point, but it's tough to call it a winning play because Iyslander consistently blocks well. You're kind of waiting for the combos, right? Icelander's happy blocking,
It's gonna take
Sigil's
yeah.
coming out. Peyton
Yep.
looks to be upgrading the arsenal in some capacity or another. Curious to see what it is.
Pummel. I think it's
But
pummel.
also interesting that Brayden didn't play out his arsenal, so I'm guessing it's going to be one of those big attacks that we like to see.
Jeez, these guys.
Well,
There's little
that
health,
came
but
out of hand.
they just keep it. they have little health,
Yeah,
but they
again,
just not
this
go
is
anywhere.
one of those ones where you kind of have to block with two cards because if you go down to four, you get, you know, it's so easy to get blown out by Storm Striders into anything really.
This will disable in hand. A pummel, a crippling crush, and a, I don't know what that last card is. I think another disabled.
Uh,
Two disabled.
Unfortunately, I can't quite see.
Um, I
But
don't know. Something painful that you don't want to get hit by
yeah,
with something
what we
passive.
can see is that Fighting Spirit's coming in for 7 right now. Peyton's probably blocking 6 of it, maybe 5 if he's got a really awkward hand. But it's very hard to justify holding on to more cards. I think that's that crippling that just dropped there
Yep.
because he knows he can't play it out. He doesn't have the resources.
Crippling and that's disable, right?
It's definitely disable on the top. I
Yeah, and
think it
a
was a
crippling
crippling
underneath.
underneath it.
Yeah.
And again,
Okay.
it's another hammer for 4. So Brayden here is, not
He's
really
happy.
worried about the stress of the situation. I mean, theoretically, a pummel could kill you, but you've got 5 cards and a tunic to work with, right? So,
Question is, can Bravo just outlive the attack action threat that Brayden's going to keep throwing at him?
I mean, it's. Oh, so we've got the Ice Vein out, fusing with the Ice Bolt. So we're pitching the pummel, we're taking 2, and then we are discarding a card that doesn't exist. Interesting. Um, but yeah, and that hammer's still only swinging for 4. That pitched card didn't buff it up to 6. So I think if you're Brayden, you're really happy now. You get to push, 4 free damage this turn, and you're only taking 1, and you still end up with an arsenal. Or maybe you've got a better play with the 3 cards you've got left in your hand, right? But there's no bad way of going about it. Block with the frosting, take 1, yeah. I mean, you're a wizard who's got more health than their opponent who's on 5. You're very happy if you're Brayden. We don't know what Peyton's Arsenal card is, though. He played a sigil in order to Arsenal whatever it was. So it could be, well, it could just be another sigil, or it could be something
Oh no.
more aggressive.
He needs to have a hand. He needs to have something that's really threatening. That's a blue, I think, from. Is not the Guardian instance that just prevents damage coming through? Oh, I guess it's not really important in this matchup.
Steadfast?
Yeah, I don't think he's steadfast in this
Yeah,
whatsoever.
I feel like you wouldn't bring Steadfast in if you do really want to bring in that higher level of Arcane Barrier. You might be bringing in Oasis Respite.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, I think it's generally fallen out of favor. I really like Oasis Respite because, you know, being able to turn off the Ice Vein that they're banking on to strip cards from you sometimes matters. But other times, it's just bad because you draw it at a bad time. It's one of those consistency versus ceilings kind of tug and war back and forth. But we're seeing a hammer here. It looks like it's coming in for 6 because it looks like we've pitched a red and then a blue. And we've got Ice Bolt. So we're thinking about. So we're blocking all 3 of the Ice Bolt. Waning Moon can also swing for 3 here. Yep, there goes the Tunic counter to do exactly that. Oh, and that last card pitched was the Red Zealous Belting. Interesting. Which is an unfortunate card to see at a time like this, because if you do try to play it out, you would probably be dead or extremely close right now. At this point, Brayden's probably counting if he can kill him with Storm Striders this turn, or has to wait till next turn. You know there's no pummel. This hammer's coming in for 6, but, you know, that 6 isn't really threatening. There's the Channel Lake to block the hammer. My question now becomes, what's Brayden doing with a 2-card hand here? Unless it is just play a big attack and go to the next cycle for Storm Striders. Oh, we're playing out the last Amulet of Ice, which may be the nail in the coffin for Peyton. That extra disruption, 1 extra red card in your hand, is going to probably make it so you can't pay through a lot of stuff. Interesting that Rouse was the Arsenal card that sigil got upgraded for. Pleasantly surprising to see that it can be played out. I can't see, is that 2 blues on reveal or a red and a blue? Because if it's 2 blues, we may be happy. If it's a red and a blue, we're definitely unhappy.
Pitch blue.
So we're covering all the damage we can off of Ice Bolt.
I think he
We
has
have,
another blue in his hand.
okay.
Ooh, man, if he's able to pull this one through, because the hammer will not come for 6 right after.
I mean, yeah, I don't know if we're going to get to the point where it is hammer for 6, in all honesty.
Vic is gonna
Because
snap it.
Brayden here, if he wants to, could force out all the pitch with Storm Striders to try and just have Peyton pitch everything to survive, and then block with 1 card off of Rouse and then Arsenal something.
And it all depends if he has an Aether Ice Vein in hand as well. It's all about whatever's in that hand, right? He's got this guy here. He's got the 1 pitch for it, so he's gonna decrease that damage.
Oh, there you go. Brothers in Arms, efficient.
Oh,
And
actually, I
then
don't
if
think he
we
has it.
see,
Yeah, that's gonna come for 6.
yeah, okay, so we're seeing the big commitment to the hammer here. We've
2
got
left
2
over.
floating.
2 prevention. 6 big damage coming. He might just lose his hand for this. Or what? Like what is the out?
Well, so Waning Moon is still available as a tool.
He has 2 pitch.
Um,
Yeah,
oh,
I,
we're just blocking out 6.
I think he's got him.
Oh, we're blocking out the 5 because that was a wounded bull in hand. Wow.
So he needs to have some.
That,
He needs to have some
yeah,
juice in
that
that
was
hand.
not that was not the hand that Brayden wanted to
Oh
on the
my
play
God,
there.
he's got okay. Well, it just really depends on whatever Brayden's able to play on his turn. That's going to be the very serious
Yeah.
committer here
Well,
because Zealous Belt.
is
This
that
man is
Zealous
insane.
Belting as an opener?
I like it.
That is honestly probably a good time to see it because you're threatening a follow-up attack, which means you're giving Brayden the chance here of, okay, if you are going to Storm Stratters me, it better be a really good one, which is
Here it
probably
goes.
necessary just to stop the follow-up hammer.
Ice
Yep,
Vein.
there is an Ice Vein in hand, but how do you play it out? Oh yeah, you've got the extra card to
Oh,
pitch that stuff.
Hypothermia. There you go. So he's going to lose 2 cards in his hand. He can prevent 2, but he also has 2 with Waning Moon. Oh, he might have him because that's a red pummel and a blue pitch in his hand. So that's
Well, and even that, you know, that's Amulet of Ice, so it doesn't
yeah,
matter that much
2 and 2.
what's in the hand because you can strip as much as you want.
But well, he can still pitch for it if he has to. But I think I don't know what color that Aether Ice Vein is. If it's blue, he could sneak his way around living here because he has a Terra Sunder for blue, and he has 1 pitch left.
Theoretically, yes.
It was not an ice card from his hand. Oh no, but he's only got two on the counter. So I don't know what color that attack the pummel is. If it's a blue pummel, he's in a good position. If it's a red pummel, I think the game's probably over.
Yeah. I think, well, it depends on what color the ice vein is.
Yeah, exactly. Pitching three.
So we're pitching the Terra Sunder,
Oh, maybe we're not.
or maybe not.
Oh, no, don't reveal that. If you, like, it doesn't matter. Honestly, he's pitching four. Can he do that?
Oh, yeah. So we're pitching in that specific order in order to say I'm blocking this much and I'm choosing to discard a card in my hand that I don't have. So we're getting around that ability. Um, although,
Hmm, nice. Zealous is still coming. He's not blocking Zealous at all. And I. Oh
yeah,
wait, can he
which
block?
means that
Can he? Is that?
yeah. Well, Brayden has a channel like Pritchard in hand, so he's gonna have to block with this and the tunic, have no arsenal, and then
There's no Storm Striders either.
if Peyton can dominate anything here, he's got it.
He can just double
That
pummel the
was
hand. Crippling Crush.
Yep, that was very good pitching by Peyton.
Yeah, just take a.
And unfortunate for Brayden that that was a blue Aether Ice Vein instead of any other color of Aether Ice Vein. That would have made a bit of a difference.
Oh, he's just doing it. We're going in. There's just.
Yeah,
Oh, and then he Crippling Crush. Yeah, okay.
and the Crippling Crush, well played.
You know what? I
That
mentioned to
he's
him.
been trying to dominate it for so many games, and he finally pulls it off
That's the second cycle
as the
too.
coup de grace.
Is that the second cycle we saw?
No, I
Of Crippling?
do not believe that we've made it quite to second cycle.
So just before he played this match, when he played his last match, I said, "Oh, I'm surprised you didn't do the bro move. Like get the crippling crush out just to finish your opponent's turn off." He's like, "I'm gonna try to get a crippling crush turn off in the future. I need to get a dominate crippling crush," and he did that exactly.